Gil Won-ok died on February 16, 2025, at the age of 96 in Incheon, South Korea. A life of struggle, activism, and legacy. A childhood stolen. Born on November 13, 1928, in Huichon, Korea, Gil Won-ok's early life took a tragic turn when she was deceived at age 12 or 13 into believing she was heading to a Japanese factory for work. Instead, she was forcibly taken to Harbin, Manchuria, where she was enslaved as a comfort woman for the Japanese military from ages 13 to 18. At age 13, she was taken from her home in Pyongyang under false promises of work and sent to northeast China, forced into military sexual slavery for the Japanese army, released after a year due to severe sexually transmitted infections. In 1942, while seeking work in China, she was once again forced into servitude in a military brothel. During those horrific years, she suffered repeated sexual violence, contracted syphilis, and endured multiple surgeries, including a hysterectomy that left her unable to have children. After World War I, she tried to return to her hometown in North Korea, but the border had closed, leaving her stranded in South Korea. She eventually settled in Incheon, making a living selling food and Korean rice wine, breaking the silence. For decades, Gil kept her painful past hidden. It wasn't until 1998, after watching a television program about comfort women, that even then it took her years to step fully into activism. 1998, after witnessing protests in front of the Japanese embassy in Seoul, she decided to speak out, became a central figure, regularly attended Wednesday demonstrations demanding justice, spoke at international conferences and United Nations meetings. In 2017, she established the Gil Won-ok Women's Peace Prize to support female activists, played a key role in the 100 million petition campaign for an official Japanese apology. In 2002, after attending the Wednesday demonstrations in front of the Japanese embassy in Seoul, she found her voice. The protests had been held weekly since 1992, demanding an official apology and compensation from Japan. 2012, co-founded the Butterfly Fund with Kim Bok-dong to aid victims of wartime sexual violence worldwide. Pledged to donate any legal compensation received to support victims of war-related sexual violence. Inspired by fellow survivors like Kim Bok-dong, she realized that the shame was not hers to bear. It was Japan's responsibility. From that moment, she dedicated the rest of her life to the fight for justice. A global advocate for comfort women, Gil Won-ok became one of the most prominent activists fighting for the recognition of comfort women. She spoke internationally, including at Japanese Women's University and United Nations meetings. In 2014, she traveled to Geneva, Switzerland, where she delivered 1.5 million signatures to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, the Butterfly Fund, helping other victims. In 2012, Gil and Kim Bok-dong launched the Butterfly Fund to aid victims of wartime sexual violence worldwide. They donated all the compensation they received to help survivors of conflicts such as the Second Congo War and the Vietnam War. The fund continues to support women who, like them, suffered war-related sexual violence. Legacy in film, The Apology. 2016, featured in The Apology, a documentary highlighting her activism. 2017, record an album using music as a form of healing. Gil's activism was documented in the 2016 film, The Apology, which followed her journey across the world as she campaigned for an official apology. The film showcased her determination, her pain, and her resilience in the face of injustice. Personal life and final years. Despite her past, Gil embraced life with warmth. She adopted a son, raising him after he was abandoned at a gambling house. Though sources differ on whether she was ever married, she lived much of her life independently. As she aged, she battled Alzheimer's disease but remained a symbol of strength. She often found comfort in singing, a way to momentarily escape her past. Health. Suffered from Alzheimer's disease in her later years. Death. Passed away on February 16, 2025 at age 96 in Incheon. Funeral. Held at Incheon Red Cross Hospital. Attended by activists, politicians, and supporters. Former President Moon Jae-in and acting President Choi Sang-mok sent condolences, honored at a Wednesday demonstration in her memory. Her close friend and fellow activist Lee Young-soo expressed deep sorrow that Gil never received an apology from Japan. The Korean Council planned a special memorial for her during the Wednesday demonstration that week, one last tribute to a woman who had spent her life demanding justice. A lasting impact. Gil Won-ok's fight was never just for herself. It was for all survivors, past and present. Young activists have pledged to continue her work, ensuring that her songs, her voice, and her demands for justice will never be forgotten. One of the last registered survivors of Japan's wartime sexual slavery, her activism remains a symbol of resilience, justice, and the ongoing fight for historical recognition. Inspired younger generations to continue advocating for women's rights and wartime justice. Her legacy remains a reminder that history must be acknowledged, justice must be served, and silence must never be an option. I am Jojo Iwema. Thank you for watching.